What's up, everybody? This is xSiin, and this is AUG gameplay, obviously, because I'm using the AUG. The score isn't that amazing, but I was just running around, just messing around, trying to annoy the other team as usual, and a lot of my deaths were generally, actually, from that guy. He kept killing me because he would sit there, and he just, I think out of, like, my 8 deaths or something like that, he kills me, like, 5 times or something like that. Um, it always seems like a lot of my games, my deaths are always from the same person. Uh, but the commentary is not going to be about the gameplay. People don't always want to hear about the gameplay. Uh, so I'm going to talk about high school popularity and how it's funny to me to the whole idea of it is hilarious to me, to be completely honest. Uh, so the first thing I'm going to get to is how they teenagers base who's popular and whatnot. And this is a part that makes me laugh because it's retarded. It really is how they judge who's popular or not. They judge it on clothing, your shoes, how tall you are, how much of a douche you are, how much of a bitch you are, if you're okay with drugs and alcohol, and how little your parents give a shit about your grades and stuff, and how little you give a shit. And the reason that's funny to me is clothing. So you see a kid that is actually somewhat wealthy, but he dresses like he's poor. He's automatically cool. Like I don't understand that, but that's how a lot of kids judge popularity. I don't understand. All these, white, like my neighborhood is a bunch of white kids that think they're black or they think they're ghetto or something like that. And they think they're all cool because they wear saggy pants when I guess it's a cool thing to do to try to wear saggy pants because generally that started as something that poor families did because they couldn't afford to buy new pants, so they got hand-me-downs. And so I guess being poor is cool, but you also have to be somewhat rich. I don't understand that part. Uh, the next one is height. You can't control that. Like, I hate when people make fun of others for their height. You can't control it. It pisses me off when, you make fun of other people for things that they can't control. If someone's, like, overweight, still, you can't always make fun of them about that unless they're, like, unbelievably obese. But even then, don't make fun of them about that because, like, because a lot of the time they don't want to be obese. It's just something makes them just eat a certain way. Something affects their diet. Maybe they could be depressed and they'll eat because that's something that makes them happy. And so height. If you're really tall, even no matter how awkward looking you are, if you're tall, you're that's 1 point in popularity, and that's retarded. Uh, Back to the clothing, even shoes, like they'll judge it on what type of shoes you wear. So if you like, it's hilarious to me. Oh, if you don't have this type of shoes, then you're a faggot suddenly. Oh, okay. Oh, if you don't have this shoes, then you're retarded. Oh, okay. I'll remember. No, like who gives a shit about what shoes you wear? Like really? But so many people are superficial, and I think it's funny how superficial they are in the most ridiculous ways. Uh, Douche and bitchiness. If a girl's a bitch, then that's kind of a point. If she's somewhat good looking. This also leads me to something else that is funny. Girls get bitchier the more popular they are, obviously. What's funny to me is when there's a fat girl that's friends with one of the popular girls. Like, there's always one ugly girl in the mix of popular girls because they're just friends with them or something, and they just become popular through that. But it's funny to me when they're bitches because they don't have anything going for them, and yet they just treat people like shit. And see this asshole camping here, yeah, that's gay. But also how big of a douche you are, like as a guy, like if you act like a douche, if you harass people for their height or whatever, or looks and whatnot, then you're popular. I guess popularity is based on assholishness. I already knew that, but I mean I've been in high school for 3 years. But it's a funny concept to me that as teenagers we base how cool you are at how big of a failure you are, basically. because a lot of the popular kids, they do drugs and alcohol and all that cool stuff. Oh man, did you go to that party and get drunk and then your friend crashed his car? Oh, that was hilarious. I've heard people talk about that and about how, some party was funny and one of their friends passed out and, like ran into a wall or some bullshit. It's like, yeah, that's really cool that you already have a drinking problem and you're not even old enough to drink. So that's nice of you. And or the drugs part. Honestly, I don't really care if you do marijuana. I think it should be legalized. I'll talk about that in another commentary. Uh, but there's kids in my school that do like other things like crack and stuff. And like one kid actually asked me if I had crack. Another kid tried to sell me crack. And they're cool kids because they do drugs and they're okay with drugs, and that's just automatically, oh, you're uneducated, so you must be cool because you don't know enough about how drugs affect you. um, so, how little your parents give a shit about your grades, how little you give a shit, that's a big factor. If you don't care about your grades and you just fuck around and skip class and all that, you're cool. So if you let people know, hey, I don't really care about my future, and I don't care if I ever get a job or if I'll ever succeed in life, or if I go to college or any of that, then that's a point for you. Once again, it just leaves a question mark. Like, okay, so you're a piece of shit basically, but you're cool. You're a cool piece of shit. Okay, well that's good. Uh, um, how spoiled you are, that goes with like the richness. A lot of the kids in my neighborhood, like they're rich, rich, whiny, bratty white kids that think they're ghetto, and so if you act like a douchey, asshole-ish rich kid that is like thinks they're ghetto, then that's a point. And this brings me into what confuses how things are judged. I guess being okay with drugs and being stupid factors more into popularity than looks. Because there's a kid at my school, his name's Seamus, and he is one ugly motherfucker. Like, he's one of those kids where, like, guys don't really judge. That asshole wouldn't get out of my way. Guys don't really judge each other. But he's like one of those kids where, like, you'll see him and you'll be like, whoa, oh, whoa, like, what's up there? And I don't mean it as, like, a mean thing, but he is cool because he does drugs like nobody's business. He smells awful. He doesn't shower. I think he's against showering. I don't know what he did. He doesn't shower. Like, that's just something he does. But he is popular as hell because he does drugs. Like, no, he does, I think he does marijuana. He does those stupid shrubs or whatever. He does cocaine and possibly heroin. I'm not sure. I've just seen, like, little needle pricks in his arm, and I'm just gonna assume that would be from heroin. Like, he's such a druggie, but because he does that stuff, he's cool, and it really confuses the hell out of me how it's funny to me how people my age judge popularity and what's cool based off of how big of a failure you are at the moment or how soon you'll be a failure, which makes it more ironic to me. I'm stumbling all over the place. When they call you a failure or they call you a faggot or whatever, and it's go get a life, kid, because you have a future. Oh, okay, I'll have fun when I'm a millionaire and you're begging for money on the streets. Or I'll have fun when I see you at the gas station or when you mow my lawn or something like that. And a lot of popular kids don't really think about that, but that's basically the outcome. That's why you always think about, like, all these nerdy kids. They go off and get good jobs because they studied in school, they got their shit correct. And that popular kids are so stuck in the moment, and it confuses me as to why they don't realize this. They see patterns, they know how like all these patterns and shit work, and they know the outcome. Why don't they try to fix their life at the moment and get a real future? Oh, by the way, the guy that ends up killing me here, I thought he was dead. Because the Blackbird, it doesn't really like When someone dies, it doesn't quite go away just yet. Final score of this game was 40-8. Not the best score, but it was okay since I was just running around being a douche. But yeah, bye guys.